I'm Elex Michaelson. This week, the issue is the midterm elections.
Mimi Walters is just a rubber stamp.
The voters have a clear choice. Do they want to continue moving America forward?
Our one-on-one interviews with all of the SoCal candidates locked in some of the nation's tightest congressional races. Plus,
we should run for president. I'm running for governor of California.
I'm running against the problems of the state.
We catch up with the two men hoping to lead the country's most populous state. And
vote yes on Proposition 6 to repeal the unfair gas tax hikes.
No on 6. It's a dangerous road.
Right now, your TV is flooded with ads for propositions. We debate the most controversial ones and clear up some of the confusion with our panel. Joining us this week, Republican Assemblyman Travis Allen, attorney and activist Areva Martin, and Modern Family executive producer Danny Zuker, who is not President Trump's favorite guy. The issue starts right now.
If you don't like who's in there, vote them out. That's what election day is all about. The biggest gun we got is called the ballot box. And if you don't like who's in there, vote them out.
Grand old man of country, the red-headed stranger himself, Willie Nelson, with a message for us all on Jimmy Kimmel Live this week. Welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michaelson. Democrats hope to vote out Republicans from control in Washington, and many of their main targets are right here in Southern California. They're focused on districts that Hillary Clinton won in 2016, but now have Republican members of Congress. I recently went one-on-one with all of the candidates in the closest races. Let's begin in northern LA County. Katie Hill is a 31-year-old millennial Democrat making waves in a traditionally Republican district.
I really sincerely hope that people can get past the D or the R.
Hill is openly bisexual and open about being a victim of sexual assault.
I'm not a career politician.
The first-time candidate lives in this Agua Dulce home with her husband, her animals, and her guns. She's running in the 25th district, which includes Simi Valley, Santa Clarita, Lancaster, and Palmdale.
Hello, Nicole. This is Congressman Steve Knight.
The 25th is currently represented by two-term Republican Congressman Steve Knight. He's a former police officer and veteran. Knight told me Republican policies are working.
There is a record of accomplishment, and we have done exactly what we said.
Most important distinction is that this is an opportunity to vote between politics as usual and something that's fresh.
Knight says he's proud of his vote for the Republican tax reform bill.
Remember, we have a very vibrant economy right now.
We know actually did not help people of this community. Don't procrastinate!
In Orange County, Democrat Katie Porter casts her vote early at a polling place at UC Irvine, where she's currently a law professor. She's hoping to unseat Republican Congresswoman Mimi Walters in the 45th district, which includes Irvine and Mission Viejo.
My opponent, Mimi Walters, is just a rubber stamp. She does whatever Donald Trump asks her to do.
The voters have a clear choice. Do they want to continue moving America forward?
Walters voted for the failed Republican plan to repeal Obamacare. Porter supports Medicare for all.
We will have to ration health care under a government-run health care system.
People know that Medicare works. It's working well for our seniors, and it's time that we have a real debate in Washington about whether we ought to be expanding that program so that it can cover more people.
The closest race could be the open seat in District 39, which includes Yorba Linda, Diamond Bar, and Fullerton. The two candidates debated on The Issue Is.
I'm Young Kim.
Republican Young Kim is a former assemblywoman from the district.
Serving with the brave men and women.
Democrat Gil Cisneros is a Navy veteran, lottery winner, and philanthropist who recently moved to the district, which includes his wife's hometown.
Our first dates were in the district.
The main difference between me and my opponent is that I am living there.
My opponent is taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from insurance companies.
No one's going to dictate how I vote.
The 48th district, including Huntington Beach and Laguna Beach, may get the most attention nationally on election night. Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher is locked in his closest race in 30 years.
Dana, do you copy?
He's being mocked in ads for his controversial positions about gays and his constant defense of Russian President Vladimir Putin. On The Issue Is, Rohrabacher called the hacking of the DNC a, quote, inside job.
The Russians did not hack.
So if the Russians didn't do it, who did it?
Now, I think that it's a disgrace that you have to ask that question.
Rohrabacher's opponent is tech entrepreneur Harley Rouda.
When you talk spycraft, they talk about spies, they talk about useful assets and useful idiots. And where he may be on that spectrum, time will tell.
Former President Barack Obama came to the OC to campaign for these candidates, a sign of just how important these races are for national Democrats hoping to win back the House. Nick Johnston is editor-in-chief of Axios. He joined us on Good Day LA.
Republicans we talked to are assuming they're going to lose the House. If you look at the way the president's going to travel for the next week, he's looking at shoring up the Senate. He's only going to 2 districts where there are competitive House races. He's certainly not coming to Southern California.
So a lot to unpack there. Let's talk about it all with our panel. We got a great panel this week. Travis Allen is a Republican assemblyman from Huntington Beach. Earlier this year, he ran for governor. Tomorrow, he's hosting a Get Out the Vote rally in Stanton at noon. Areva Martin is an attorney, activist, author, and now she's a talk show host as well. She joins Vivica A. Fox and a panel of experts on Face the Truth on CBS. Danny Zuker is a multiple Emmy Award winner. He is the executive producer of the wildly successful ABC sitcom Modern Family. He's written a new book about feuding online with the president. It's called He Started It, My Twitter War with Trump. So congratulations on the new book, and congratulations to all of you on all of your accomplishments. So let's start with the big question, though, because elections are about, did you earn back support? Areva, do Republicans deserve to win re-election?
Oh, absolutely not. I think the conduct of President Trump that has been, co-signed on by the Republicans make this the race that we're in, makes California, for the first time, we're important in a national election because women in Orange County decided that they weren't just going to sit on the sidelines, that they were going to do something. They were going to get engaged. And we're seeing all of this activity happening in the California congressional races. And it's positive activity for the Democrats. And it's going to be, I think, the kind of activity that we need to win those 23 seats so the Democrats can take back the House.
Assemblyman?
Look, this is very clear. The Republicans have an amazing track record of success in the last 2 years. Just today, 250,000 more jobs created in the United States. We have the lowest unemployment at 3.7% in 50 years since 1969. And it gets even better because we actually have real wage growth of 3.1%. So it's not like there's just this top line, jobs number without real people making real money.
But Travis,
this is really the answer, is that what Republicans are doing is working. And so I think very simply, to answer the question, this is the midterm election, which is really the referendum. Do you like the direction the country's going in? And I think people see, look, I got a job, my friends and family have a job, the economy's doing great, and this means we're going to reelect more Republicans.
But my economy, when I moved to LA to become the huge superstar that I am, was great because I applied for 7 credit cards when I moved here. This is a true story. And spending was up, my consumer confidence was up, but those credit cards came due, and I lost credit till I was about 35. So it feels like, of course, we're going to infuse this, and you can't say that this is a middle tax cut. Those things are not permanent. These are tax cuts for billionaires. And we talk about all of these social programs like we can't afford to do this. It's going to bankrupt us. No, we could afford to do it if we didn't give it all to corporations. Yeah. That's really the truth. And the trickle-down thing, how many times does that have to fail before we stop believing it?
And Travis, come on, you're disingenuous, and Republicans have been disingenuous about their support of Obamacare and pre-existing conditions. They voted against it.
A million times.
And now that it's the issue in the election, they are running to it and somehow trying to embrace it. They voted to repeal and replace, and guess what? They had nothing to replace with.
So here's the thing. I think the Republicans are actually not campaigning for Obamacare at all. As I see it very clearly, no Republicans that I can see on the main stage want to keep Obamacare in its present form. It simply doesn't work. It was designed to fail.
Every Republican that I talk to, though, is saying that they want to have protections for pre-existing conditions.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I guess her point is that
they voted against it. They want it now because they see it's a popular issue in this midterm election. But if we go back and look at their records, we can find multiple Republican after Republican voting against a bill that would provide pre-existing coverage for millions of Americans.
So I think I have the answer to what you're talking about, which is very simply, Republicans like the idea of taking care of people that have pre-existing conditions because we don't want to see people without health care.
However, the record on that is clear, and Republicans have voted against pre-existing conditions.
I like the idea of going to a gym. I just don't do it.
Yeah, have.
Well, you should.
You're right. I know I should.
It's not relevant.
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to turnout. I think so far what we've seen, especially in California, is record numbers of turnout, and they're coming in good for Republicans. So I think that not only do we keep the House, I know that we keep the Senate.
And on that point, I think Meghan Trainor is who I look to for political advice. And when she said it's all about the base, I think she was right. It's all about the base. It's all about turnout. So a reminder that all of our past shows, including in-depth interviews with many of the candidates on the ballot, are now available in podcast form. Just search for The Issue Is wherever it is that you stream. Up next, the races for governor and Senate. A lot to talk about there. Stay with us. You like Meghan Trainor, right?
Oh, come on, of course. Right?
Decades ago, Shaka Khan asked, "What you going to do for me?" It's a question voters have been asking for decades. Millions have already cast their ballots early in the midterm elections. Welcome back to our panel, Assemblyman Travis Allen, Areva Martin, Danny Zuker. Now, the biggest race on the ballot is the race for governor. We've spoken many times with the two candidates, Democratic Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom and Republican businessman John Cox, and we've also heard some platitudes along the way.
Racial justice, social justice, economic justice candidate.
I'm a businessman who focuses on results.
You want to deal with income and wealth disparity. You want to deal with the achievement gap. Begin at the beginning. Every one of these children have unlimited capacity.
We're talking to the working people of the state, Alex. And
okay, well, one person on this panel has actually run for governor. so I'm going to start with you. Gavin Newsom's been ahead since the beginning of the year in this race.
Well, since the beginning of the race, to be fair, yes.
So, which has now been going on for like 5 years, what is the path for John Cox? Is there a path for him to win?
There is a path. Yeah, there is a path. His path is actually very direct. It's very straightforward. You have to bring the message directly to the people of California and ask them a very simple question. Do you want California to look like the streets of San Francisco? I mean, look, this is what Gavin runs on, is his record. His record in San Francisco. You have trash. You have hypodermic needles. You have out-of-control homelessness. Now you have legalized heroin injection centers, city-sanctioned in the city of San Francisco. By the way, they had more car break-ins last year than ever, over 30,000. Is this what we want California to look like? If John Cox wants to win, he's got to bring that message directly to the people of California. And I got to tell you, I think he's having a lot of success bringing that. He's got his bus tour up and down the state. And of course, you all know there's the gas tax as well.
Right, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Why do you think, Areva, that in the polls he hasn't?
Because he's not going to win. It's pretty clear. This is the bluest state in the nation. Yeah. Republicans have lost ground in the state of California over the last decade for a couple of reasons. One, their position on immigration. They haven't moved to the left on that issue, which is where most of the citizens of California have moved. And the diversity that's happened in the state. Asians, Latinos, other people of diversity, people of color, lean towards the Democratic Party. And let's face it, in the state of California, 43% of the voters are Democratic. The next big voting bloc in California is not Republicans, it's independents.
It's declined the state.
It's independents.
But at the same time, Danny, it's possible, a lot of people in this state feel like they're overtaxed, that the state is overregulated, that a lot of things at the state are not working well, and they're not necessarily happy with the state.
I'm trying to think. We've had an experiment where a businessman with no experience takes over.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think, how is that going? Well, the country's divided.
And let's be clear, Travis.
Yes.
No Republican
rise of anti-Semitic crimes and being gay.
No Republican has won statewide since 2006.
And that Republican in 2006 was married to a Democrat, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor. So the other race is the Senate race, where there are no Republicans running because the Democrats were the top two that advanced. Challenging Senator Dianne Feinstein is State Senator Kevin De Leon. Take a listen.
I think we have a lot of Democrats who want a stronger voice, someone who's not on the sidelines, but rather someone who's on the front lines to contend with this president who seeks to do everything within his power to undermine our great state, California.
So you're not hearing from Senator Dianne Feinstein. For the last 6 months, we've asked to speak with her for 5 to 10 minutes, anywhere or anytime. Her team repeatedly told us that they wanted to do it. We also offered to host a debate for this race, but in the end, she denied all of our requests, saying that she couldn't find 5 minutes in 6 months for the only primetime political show in her state's largest TV market. We hope that she will reconsider that in the future.
This feels like a Tinder rejection. It feels like a swipe right.
Kind of sounds like the governor's race.
Somebody's a little salty.
Well, both of them were here. They were here, and they both gave us time.
You're a little salty about that, right?
Well, I mean, I think that people should answer questions when you're running for office. Once every 6 years, you should come and I mean, she did not do a single press conference even in our market.
To her credit, I did host a town hall meeting with Senator Dianne Feinstein in the heart of South Los Angeles.
2 years ago, I was there.
First AME Church,
Yes.
and she did answer questions. It was a packed house of voters in the state of California, so she's not MIA. I don't think you said that, but I just want I want it to be known that she did come into South Los Angeles and do a town hall.
And she did answer my questions then, but it was 2 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
That's
do we
fair.
think that State Senator De Leon has a chance?
No.
No.
She still wins.
Yeah.
We need her.
Yeah.
If ever we needed a senior statesperson like Dianne Feinstein, it's now.
Up next, baby, you can drive my car, but can you avoid potholes in this state? We're talking about the gas tax when we come back. Need some help from the comedy writer on staff. Yes, we don't have the budget for that. Life is a highway, and speaking of highways, the California gas tax provides about $5 billion for infrastructure in this state, but should it be repealed? That's what Prop 6 is all about. Back with our panel, Danny Zuker, Areva Martin, and Assemblyman Travis Allen. And I know, Assemblyman, you've been one of the leaders to try to get the gas tax repealed. Some polls show that it's now starting to falter. What do you think? What's your main argument?
The issue is very simple. If you want your gas tax prices to go down, you got to vote yes on 6. And I think it does pass, but narrowly. And the answer is this. The answer is because that tax money is not going to fill in our potholes, and not $1 of that is going to be able to expand the worst in the nation traffic, which is what we have in the cities of Los Angeles and San Francisco. And that's the problem with the gas tax.
It's not getting much traction. People want their roads repaired. They want investments into buses and trains and to transportation. And that's why it's not getting traction with the blue Democrats in the state, Travis.
I'm no on 6. Yeah, I'm no on 6. I don't like paying more for gas, but I also don't like falling off a bridge.
All right. Another controversial proposition is Prop 10. This is to do with rent control. It sort of changes the availability for cities and gives them more flexibility when it comes to rent control. There's much debate on whether this measure offers a genuine solution to a genuine crisis, which is affordable housing. TV ads for and against take some different approaches, including one that goes for laughs.
We love our daughter, Amy. She's a hard worker. She has a good job. But with such high rents, she can't afford an apartment.
Help get our kids into homes of their own. Vote yes on Prop 10.
I'm ordering pizza.
10 reasons to vote no on Prop 10. Reason 4, Prop 10 has no protections for renters, seniors, veterans, or the disabled.
Danny, housing, such an important issue in this state. What do you think?
I did some research on this one because this was confusing. This is like, ballot measures drive me crazy. It feels like an abdication of representational democracy. And they're all meant to be confusing. I am for this. I like being able to hold local government accountable.
Yes on 10.
Oh my God, we're
completely aligned on that.
Absolutely not. Everywhere you've done rent control, you have neighborhoods falling down, you have urban blight, you have all kinds of terrible stuff. The bottom line is if you lock rents, what are landlords going to do?
You have a very dim view of California.
No. Look, this is very simple. This is very simple.
Where are you getting this dim view of our state from?
Are you like
dark? You see such darkness.
All you got to do is go outside to downtown LA. 107 cases of typhus today in downtown LA.
Travis, so that's the politics of fear that the Republicans are running on across the country.
Reality.
And it's not working. This is a beautiful state.
So let me tell you.
The caravan's coming.
Okay, we're going to have that be the last word. Our thanks to our panel. The number one most effective way to fight the power in this state, if that's something you're interested in, is voting. I'm going to have a final word about voting when we come back.
And when I stand in the polls, I do what Maya Angelou says. I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. For all those who paved the way that we might have the right to vote.
Oprah encouraging people to vote this week. And with the risk of hopping onto a soapbox, I'm going to do the same. Decisions in this country are made by those who show up. We hear so much from both sides about the power of special interests and how that's bad for politics. But you know when special interests are most powerful? When voters don't show up. Special interests always show up. They have a special interest in doing so. They fill power vacuums and use apathy to their advantage. But there wouldn't be a power vacuum to fill if we all voted. It's a right our ancestors fought and died for. Our country's founders also knew that a democracy would die without a well-informed and active electorate. That's why they made freedom of speech and freedom of the press the very First Amendment. This show was created primarily as a way to educate voters. I encourage you to check out our podcast or past episodes at my Elex Michaelson YouTube pages to hear more from the candidates. I also suggest checking out the extensive writing online about the candidates and propositions, and do your homework, and then have your say and help to change history. That's all for tonight. As Miguel said, I vote for a good time too. I'll see you tomorrow night at 10 with a special look at campaign barnstorming across SoCal, and for our special election night coverage Tuesday night at 10 right here on Fox 11. I'm Elex Michaelson. Thanks for watching. Now go vote.